Hey guys, welcome back to another podcast. We're trying to figure out what we're going to talk about today, but this episode, what episode number are we on? 84? Wow. We're 84 days into the year, and all of you guys were thinking, including me, voice crack there, every single person was thinking at the beginning of the year, it's my year, it's my year, it's my year. 2020 is going to be amazing. I was thinking 2030 is going to be my year, all right? We can never rely on tomorrow because tomorrow will rely and decide itself. Okay, guys, so welcome back to another podcast. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're coming back for second round, round 2, round 84, welcome. Welcome back to a podcast. I do these podcasts not only to share the things that I'm thinking about, but as a journal to talk about what I'm doing so I can look back in 10 years and be like, this was who Daniel was, and be like, this guy was crazy. He was immature, was doing the things that he probably shouldn't have done. And it's a way for me to record the things that are up, you know, the things that are happening in our lives. And there's a lot of things happening in every single person in this planet knows one word right now. Not the beer, the virus, Corona. Everybody knows this thing called the Corona. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because 100% of the news on the Corona is negative, okay? On the virus, 100% of the news is negative, okay? Negativity kills what? Negativity kills positivity. It's one of the biggest things. And I was just doing an Instagram live earlier, and I was talking to a girl who's from Syria, and she got a cold a couple days ago. By the way, I had a little bit of the sniffles too, okay? She looked up on Google. She's like, I think I've got the Corona. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna die. She looked it up and she's like, what are the symptoms? Literally all the symptoms of the coronavirus are also related to every single other virus, like the cold, the flu, a fever, everything, okay? Be positive. If you're getting sick, know yourself, know what it feels like to be actually sick, and then to have pneumonia, which is the coronavirus, which is 100 times worse. Now, a lot of people don't get affected that much. Only people that have weaker immune systems. That's why it's very important to build up your immune system. But we have one piece of good news for you today. We have one piece of good news for today because Rule, the guy who is part of our research team, also the stylist, what is the positive news? An 80-year-old woman from Italy recovered from a virus that is supposed to kill literally every old person that could ever get it. If you're an old person listening to this right now, it's scary. You know, I was walking down the streets the other day and I was seeing a couple old geezers, a couple old dudes, all right? I really appreciate old people because they've got so much wisdom most of the time. Some people, you know, time is just, we only think old people are wise. Why? Because they had more time to experience things. But trust me, if I was in the state of who I was before, not understanding how to learn from other people's mistakes and learn from the mistakes that I was doing and always learning, always learning all these sort of things, I could have coasted life and I would have been a geezer. I would have been an old bloke that it wouldn't be very wise, okay? All right? I saw them walking down the street. Everybody's wearing a mask and these guys were rolling like they were living life. They were rolling and they had no mask on. They were just chilling out. They were like basically holding hands. That's how close they were. There was no such thing as social distancing for them, okay? And I saw that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Now, the reality is this thing is a big deal, all right? So don't be one of those idiots like me who just runs around thinking that there's no way that they could spread it to anybody else, because the reality is you can't. So it's good to have some social distancing. Andy, who I props every single morning come in. He's the security guard. I'm like, yo, Andy, pop. I give him props, pop. And for the last few days, it's been depressing because I don't give him props. He's just standing there and he's just like, right? That's hard. You know, it's hard when the world is telling you can't do things that you normally do. Us as humans, we are super, we interact. It's part of our nature. We create life by like interacting, like the deepest form of interaction, okay? For us to not interact is hard. For us to not high five, for us to not gather, it's hard. So in this time, what does that do to us? What does that do to us mentally? Like, how does that make us feel? How does that triggers sort of these things. One of the things that I'm doing, by the way, I get a lot of questions all the time like, Dan, how do you stay so positive? How do you continue to fight every single day when everything is coming down? Everything is coming down. I run a business. We have many employees inside our organization. We have had to transition to having a full office to no one in here except for me and the video crew and a few other leaders. That is strange. That is strange. All right? It's hard. It's hard. And my thoughts and my prayers and my concerns go out to every single person that is in a position of leadership. If you cannot interact, if you cannot be with people, it's hard to encourage people. All right, so it's been really interesting to see how we have moved as a company, and it's hurt. We've definitely seen a lot of things slow down, but it's also given light to understanding how people are and where people are at. There's a lot of people that are positive. There's also people in our organization that are starting to hate on our group, right? There are people that can't handle the pressure. There are people that are hurting. And my thoughts and my prayers go out to every single person, because the reality is we are going through a tough time right now. I was driving on my bike home last night, going to the hotel I'm staying at, and there was only 12 people in. There were 600 rooms, there's only 12 people, okay? Only 12 people. And then I get there and they say, hey, sorry, like you can't book in and you can't extend. I'm like, what? Why can't I extend? There was only 12 people sitting, like living in here. And like, well, I'm like, it's because you guys are closing down. They're like, no, actually, there's a company that booked out the 600 rooms. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, if I was in a company and we did that, maybe we should have done it, but I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, I'm staying at a hotel on the mountain, and I'm driving home last night. And last night was a good day, but a lot of energy had to go into things that were, trying to move things around, trying to work through the problems and the things that we are dealing with right now. And I had a lot of pressure. I'm driving home, I'm listening to music, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, this is hard. This is hard. This is almost the hardest thing that I've ever gone in through my life. I'm in a position where I need to lead people, and how can I stay strong if every single day, like, when can I be real? Like, when can I, like, deal with my thoughts? Be like, hey, listen, this is happening. They say 2 weeks. It's been a month. It could be 2 months. It could be 3 months. When do I realize that this is something that we may have to deal with for a very long time? And for different countries, it's different, right? China, boom, 1 month, they're fine. They've got an insanely strong government. It's a regime, and they've been able to lock down everything overnight and control people very easily. And they're good. They're safe. And now you got countries that don't have the systems in place to do that. How long is it going to be? Is it going to be 2 months, 3 months? So I'm thinking about this when I'm driving, and a little those thoughts start to creep into my mind. The thoughts of, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I'm not fit for this role. Maybe I can't continue to this. Maybe I shouldn't. Actually, now that I think about it, it'd be so much nicer to just let all these problems go and just, not do anything anymore. And in that same moment, I thought of this one story. When I was younger, my Oma, she told me this story. Now, my Oma, for those of you guys, she's Dutch. Oma, my grandma. When I was younger, I remember the story. I was visiting her in Holland, and she sat me down. And I'm a crazy kid, right? I'm just always moving around. But when my Oma talked to me, it was like I was fixated on her words. She told me this story. When she was younger, when she was 13, 14, 15 years old, that is when World War II happened. When World War II happened, there were situations that came onto people in the blink of an eye without them even being able to hear news. Remember, this is before the internet. This is before cell phones, before anything. And she and her family were in the concentration camp, in the Japanese concentration camps in Indonesia, because Indonesia was a Dutch colony at the time. And she lived in a concentration camp for 4 years. They had hardly anything to eat. They would eat eggshells the military would eat, and they would eat the remains of the military. There were just so many crazy stories that happened. I can't even explain them on the podcast because they're so horrific. And as a kid, when I heard those words that she told me, I was petrified, but at the same time, I had so much respect in how she lived her life. And she's still alive. The way she lived her life, even though she went through the most horrific aspects of a human person could ever go through. That means friends and family and people that she loved died. She saw them suffer. She saw them hurting. She saw them being brutally, mentally, and physically harassed to the point of death. And she saw that. She experienced that. And how could she live her life with so much positivity and so much energy and so much beauty? By the way, she's still married. My Oma and Opa live in Holland, and I love them to bits. Whenever I go there, my heart is so warm because they're so loving. They give so much value to everybody. They had 8 kids, and they've got tons and tons of grandchildren. Like when we do a family reunion, it's insane. It's like a nation gets together. Okay. But what I want to say here is, in that moment, when I'm driving home, those thoughts creep into my mind. And it puts it into perspective. Put it into perspective right away, like that. Boom. Remembering stories that she told me. Put it into perspective of the life that I am living right now. Meaning, there is nothing that could happen to me right now. There's no situation that I could go through, not even the very, very worst, that hasn't happened 10 times more to someone else. And with that thought, it put it into perspective to the situation and the doubts and the depression and the thoughts of anxiety that, damn, why are you scared? Why are you worried? Why are you worried? Why are you only looking at what tomorrow has to bring? Why are you only looking at this? Look at the future. Look at what is going to come after this. Look at history. You look at history, you can tell the future. The greater the suffering, the greater the peace. We have been in such a phenomenal global peace for the most part for the last 20, 40, 60 years. I am so blessed that my 23 years of life, I have not experienced a war time. I am so blessed. Every single one of you guys listening to right now are extremely blessed to have been brought up. Maybe some of you guys have been brought up in a war time, okay? But for the most of you guys, you have grown up in comfort. And as soon as something like this hits, there's no excuse to say and to feel sorry for yourself. There's absolutely no excuse. There's absolutely zero excuse. If you look at history and you look at what people have gone before and what they've had to endure, there's absolutely no excuse for you guys to be sulking and feeling bad about yourself and feeling bad about tomorrow and feeling like the world is going to come down. Everything is going to crush us. The world is going to end. What am I going to do? Look at history. The greater the suffering, the greater the peace. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. There is always a tomorrow after tomorrow that will bring greener pastures. There was a forest fire in almost all of Australia. Hundreds of thousands of people got displaced. People lost their lives. People lost their homes. Their homes. They lost everything. And after that, you go to the same spots. What is growing? What is coming out of the ground? New life. There's always new life. Andy in our company right here, he's on maternity leave right now. He just had a son born 3 days ago. In this time, that kid is almost like a war baby. That kid is born in a time where the whole world is feeling like the world is collapsing. Right? That's new life. He has no perspective. He doesn't even understand what's happening right now. Right? Put yourself into his shoes. Right? If you have a mindset of, at least I'm breathing, at least I'm being able to grow, at least I'm being able to do the things that I can do to survive, at least I'm able to breathe. I woke up this morning after yesterday night. I could hardly sleep because my mind was battling with so many things. I woke up this morning and I took a deep breath. I stood up and I opened up my arms and I said, thank you, God, that I'm alive. And it doesn't matter what you guys believe. It doesn't matter who you believe or what you believe, or if you believe in anything or if you don't believe in anything at all. But to have hope that there is a brighter future tomorrow is the thing that you can lean on in order to feel a sense of peace. When you have that sense of peace, the gift of that is to give it to others. The gift and the responsibility that you have when you get that is to give that to other people. Because there's so many people right now that their whole environment is negativity. Their whole environment is telling them that they got to be in the house, is telling them that they got to be this, they got to do that. You turn on the news right now, there's nothing good on the news. There is only bad. There's only negativity. I want to give you one suggestion right now. How about turn the news off? How about unfollow the people that are spreading the negativity? How about closing that out of your life? Because the reality is you cannot do anything about that. You cannot do anything about that except for spread. But the thing is, it feels good to spread. It feels good to spread negativity. It's almost like it's a form of dopamine. All right? You guys know this, and I know this really well. Why? Because when someone famous dies, we want to be the first person to call up and be first person to tell everybody, be like, "Oh my goodness, did you know this person died? Did you know this person died? Yes, I know that person died. Oh, okay. Let me tell the next person. Did you know this person died? Did you know this person died?" So we can get that feeling of we knew it first. But what is that doing? That's just negativity. That's just spreading out the things that are only going to make people scared. All right? There's nothing good that comes from that. I get people messaging me all the time. Did you know this person died? Did you know this person died? Do you hear about this? What about that? What about the corona? What about this? What about that? All right? I'm like, listen, man. I know it's happening, but it's irrelevant. Right? You got to start focusing on the things that actually start to move you guys forward. That actually start to help you to bring you to that next stop. Because the reality is this. After tomorrow, what happens? It's another day. Today is the day. Today's almost ending. We can be sure that the sun can come up tomorrow. You know, as the song goes. The sun will come up tomorrow. Bet you about $1. You know what? It's going to come up tomorrow. But here's the thing. It's out of our control. Maybe it doesn't come up tomorrow. Have you ever thought of that? What if we're living in darkness? What if we're doing this? Okay? Look at history, guys. Put yourself in perspective. Talk to someone that has gone through a tougher situation. It puts it all into reality. Talk to someone that's been in a war. Talk to someone that has been in the military. Jem right here, I've never seen a more positive person in my whole entire life. Guess what happened to him? He's got a piece of shrapnel in his back. Okay? I didn't know Jem's name for the longest time. A few months, right? And then one day I was like, Jem, I was like, hey, can you tell me something about yourself or your story? And a couple of people said, Jem, you gotta say what happened. All right, what happened? Jem comes from a part in the south of Philippines, right? Mindanao. And there was rebels attacking. There was people that were terrorists. There was terrorist organizations that were coming in and taking advantage of innocent people. He was on a bus where there was a bomb that blew up and killed 30, 40 people. And this guy survived. You think he's scared of the coronavirus? You think he knows that he has to protect himself and he's got to protect himself from other people? But do you think that Jem right here is gonna have a sad face on his? Is he gonna put a little sad face because of a few people dying? This guy saw firsthand. He saw firsthand what it feels to see people around you actually die. I saw my grandfather in Canada. I saw him live. And 2 minutes later, I saw him dead. When I saw someone's life leaving a body, it's the most disturbing, yet most beautiful, yet most just crazy experience. Because what we have right now is so extremely precious. So extremely precious. Guys, you have life. Go out and live it, and go out and spread positivity, and go out and be the person that will spread hope, not negativity. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. Good night. I love you guys. Bye-bye.